Hello and welcome to Good or Bad. Hellraiser 2. Yep, no witty intro, just Hellraiser 2. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. The sequel to Clive Barker's classic was released in 1988 and was directed by Tony Randall. And while Clive Barker did not return as director, he did write the story for this movie, which follows on from the events of the first movie. That being that everyone thinks Kirsty is crazy. She is once more played by Ashley Lawrence. However, while Kirsty returns, her boyfriend does not.
Don't worry about him, he's okay. We sent him home hours ago. He had some story to tell.
So Steve saw all the same hellish things that Kirsty saw, and then he just buggers off. Some boyfriend he is. And I wouldn't really mind, but he was barely in the first movie and had little to no effect on it. So he might as well just not exist at all, which to be fair is more of a fault of the first movie, so you can't get mad at the second one for getting rid of him. Although, it was probably because the actor didn't want to return or he couldn't return. But either way, it's not that big of a deal. So this is a homicide detective who doesn't really come back into the movie after the opening, but regardless, he is investigating the deaths of her father and stepmother. And this guy is Dr. Channard. He is played by Kenneth Cranham. And even though he basically tells her that it's all just in her head, there is more to him than meets the eye. Well, until it actually meets the eye. I mean, it is a film, we do get to see it. And what we see is that he is obsessed with pretty much everything she saw in the first movie. He has researched hell boxes and even collects them. Now, I don't know whether these are real or replicas. Actually, I do know. I'm going to skip past the part where I pretend I don't know. They're real. Now, this is a game changer if you really think about it, because that means there's multiple of them, which isn't really a game changer at all. It's just plot convenience, really. So with Kirsty's stories being about a hellbox, he is intrigued, especially when she says this.
Wait. That mattress, you've got to destroy that mattress. See, Julia died on it, and she can come back now like Frank.
I've got a plan so cunning you could put a tail on it and call it a weasel.
Yeah, so Dr. Creepyface procures the mattress using his magical doctory powers and attempts a little scientific experiment, but not before other doctor guy called Kyle, played by William Hope, overhears that Dr. Channard wants the mattress delivered to his home, so he goes to investigate.
Fucking weird.
Guys, it's weird! In case you didn't get the message, it's weird! Weird!
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Don't you just love it when a movie tells you how to react to something, rather than just letting us react to it?
Weird.
Dr. Kyle hides while Dr. Channard sacrifices one of his patients, which resurrects Julia. You guys remember Julia, right? Crazy lady from the last movie, whacked people on the head with a hammer. Yeah. Well, she comes back. And I have to say, it's a lot faster than Frank's resurrection was. That was slow and awesome, with great music. This one just acts like the mattress just spat her out or something. Well, that's sequels for you. No finesse or build-up. I mean, you could argue that it was because Frank was resurrected by one drop of blood, whereas Julia had an entire person's worth of blood. But even if it does make sense, it's still not as good. So the bitch is back, and Dr. Channard helps revive her completely by doing what she did in the last movie. Murdering people for her. Also this. Yeah, I don't know why. Back to Kirsty. She has been seeing visions of someone telling her they are trapped in hell and needs her help. And she thinks it's Larry, her father. But don't say anything because It's really Frank. But you can't begrudge her being hopeful, can you? Now that Kyle believes everything that Kirsty has been saying, she is the only person he can turn to.
Get dressed. I gotta get you out of here.
Shit!
I'll get you clothes. I can do that. I'm a doctor.
What was the point in that? I mean, if you're just going to cut to her being dressed, why not just have the clothes be in the wardrobe? Was it just to make Dr. Channard seem like he's trying to imprison her? Because that seems weak. A weak, thin reach. It just seems like pointless dialogue padding. Like saying Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
See? Pointless. Just like most of my lines. But I get to be pointless. Kyle tells Kirsty everything he saw, including that Dr. Channard has hell boxes. So with Kirsty needing passage to hell to save her father, she needs to go get one.
2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. Don't move. Okay, let's go.
Again, what was the point? Did they really need to pad out the dialogue that badly? Well, alrighty then. A fully rejuvenated Julia kills Kyle. Which brings Kirsty face to face with Julia.
They didn't tell you, did they, Kirsty? They changed the rules of the fairy tale. I'm no longer just the wicked stepmother. Now I'm the evil queen. So come on. No! Take your best shot, Snow White.
Wow, that was cheesy. That even out-cheesed Once Upon a Time.
'Cause love is the most powerful magic of all.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not. And then Dr. Channard brings in another patient. This is Tiffany. She is played by Imogen Bowman. And she likes solving puzzles. Specifically box-shaped puzzles. It's all she does. And when we met her near the start of this movie, we knew exactly where it was going. Channard uses her to open the doors to hell by getting her to solve the box. Ah, the Cenobites. Yes, Cenobites. Cenobites. Not Xeno. Bad Michael. Bad Michael.
No!
Oh, not Bad Michael. Good. I like Good Michael. Good Michael's better than Bad Michael. I should shut up, really. No, what he was actually saying was don't take Tiffany because she wasn't the one behind her opening the box. She was just being used. So they just walk off. Yep, that's their grand entrance to this movie. They appear, do nothing, walk away. But now Kirsty awakens in a world of hell because it's just a proximity-based thing, it seems. So everyone is in hell. Tiffany is wandering around, Kirsty is looking for her father, and Julia and Channard are doing something. And that something is Julia works for the Leviathan, which is a big demon thing, whom she hands Channard over to, so it can use him as a vessel. But while his transformation is ongoing, we see other things, like an evil baby thing and clowns. Then the Cenobites catch up with Kirsty. Maybe they'll actually do something this time. Yeah, no, they don't do anything. They taunt her for a bit and then let her go.
But please, feel free. Explore. We have eternity to know your flesh.
Well, they don't really let her go, but they are very overconfident in their ability to keep her in hell. Kirsty's continuing adventure in hell leads her to meeting up with Tiffany, where she tells her they need to work together. But then she sees the door to what she believes is her father's hell. But it turns out that it was Frank. Now say it with me, guys. Who saw that coming? Yeah. Cool reunion. Actually, not a bad scene, to be honest. But it ends with Julia walking in and killing the already dead and imprisoned in hell Frank. So I guess he's even deader than dead now. Dead too, that's what he is. Yeah, the next layer of dead. Also, before he dies, the movie has him get set on fire, so it can burn his flesh away and he can become all zombified and gooey again. And it was literally just because the movie wanted him to look like that again. The reason for the fire was so weak. But whatever, Frank's gone again, and Kirsty and Tiffany run away, but they drop the hell box, which looks more like a crystal you would collect in Crash Bandicoot now. And now, it emerges. The super duper powerful Cenobite Channard. All hail him.
And to think, I hesitated.
What does that do then? Well, alright then. They continue to run through the corridors, but find themselves caught in a vacuum, where only Julia dies. Well, that was a very lackluster death. They walk back through the hospital, and then this happens.
The doctor. Is he?
This is like one of the hammiest villains ever. I fucking love him. Oh, the Cenobites are back. And this time Kirsty has no box to save her. But she does have a photo. A photo of what Pinhead looked like before the pins. Way back in the opening of the movie, we got to see Captain Elliot Spencer open a hell box and get turned into the pointy-headed man. Then a bit later in the movie, Kirsty found the photos in Channard's house, which I can only assume he found during his investigations into everything Hellbox related. And she worked out that it was Pinhead. So now she is trying to convince them all that they were all human once, in the hopes that it will save her life. Not that it matters anyway, as Channard turns up and a fight breaks out. Okay, this should be good. Right, so Pinhead uses chains. Well, that didn't work. What else he got? Okay, one of them down. Not the best start, but you can pull it back. Well, this isn't going well for them at all. But I believe in Pinhead. Surely he has something else up his sleeve. Well, I'll admit this is an interesting tactic, but given that people mention you, Mr. Pinhead, in like the big names of horror, you know, as one of the big horror icons, that they mention you a lot, surely you've got something, right? See, look at that. Look right there. That is a confident look. He has something. He is going to win. Oh, well, they're just really shit. Tiffany insists that she has to finish the puzzle, so she returns to the labyrinth and picks up the not boxy anymore puzzle box. And she goes to confront Channard one last time. After a few hammy lines, Tiffany is saved by Kirsty, who is wearing Julia's skin. And I would question why she can put her skin on and it fits amazingly well. But it's Hellraiser. This buys Tiffany time to complete the puzzle and get rid of Channard for good. It is cool to see, but who knows how much sense it makes. I mean, like I said before, do we really care? It's Hellraiser, everything's insane. It is time to escape hell, and they manage to do so before it seals up. Does that mean something escaped? So they are both alive, and all the bad things are dead and gone. Ah, a happy ending. It's nice. Roll the credits, please, come on. Oh yes, of course, we need the sequel bait. Two removal guys get caught up in the antics of the mattress of hell, as one of them gets sucked in there and the other sees this.
What is your pleasure, sir?
You! It's you! Who are you? I swear to God, if I don't find out who you are in the next 8 movies, I'm going to be pissed off. I mean, to be fair, it's 8 movies. I'm probably going to be pissed off a lot in those 8 movies, but I will be even more pissed off if I do not find out who you are. Unless finding out who you are or what you are pisses me off even more than not finding out would have pissed me off. It's kind of inevitable though, isn't it, at this point, that I'm probably going to have some bitching to do. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 was as weirdly dumb and as corny as the first movie. But because I knew what to expect this time around, I found myself enjoying this film more than I did the first movie. But that's not me saying it's better than the first film, because it's definitely not. It's just not. There are way too many padded out dialogue choices, all of which seem to involve Kyle, I've noticed, who wasn't a very interesting character, and he got killed off as blandly as he lived. The acting was straight up corny this time. There was less character development involved. No one occupied shades of grey like they did in the first film. Julia is a good example because in the first film she had development which led her to becoming a circumstantial villain, whereas here she's just a clear-cut villain.
Nothing personal, babe.
And she enjoys being the baddie, and she isn't doing it for love this time around, except for the love of doing it, which is less interesting. And keeping the subject on Julia for a moment, why did she look like Julia? Because Frank didn't look like Frank when he'd finished drinking life juice. No, he looked like Larry. Either because it was Larry's blood that was the last drop he consumed, or because it was his blood that started the process. But neither did Julia's blood start the process, nor was it the blood that completed it. Unless you are counting the blood that was on the mattress. Ah, a loophole. Personally, I think she looked like Julia just because they wanted her to. And to be fair, it was the right call. If she looked like this guy, it probably would have sucked. And another thing that lies firmly in the negative column is the Cenobites. Not Channard, just the regular ones. I'll get to him in a moment. They elaborate on Pinhead more in this movie, and it amounts to nothing. There is no benefit in knowing who he was before he was Pinhead, at least not in this movie. It's not even like reminding him he used to be human saved Kirsty. It didn't. The fact that Channard showed up is what saved her, because then all the Cenobites fought over her. Maybe the movie was trying to make it seem like Pinhead was fighting to save Kirsty, because she reminded him who he was, but both roads lead to the same place. And oh my god, the place that it leads to was pathetic. I have seen some corny horror movie fights before, but this takes the biscuit. Not only the biscuit, but the cake too. It takes everything, every bit of tasty junk food you could possibly imagine. Hell, it probably even takes the salad too. They all just died. Well, not dead. Obviously they will be back. We even saw Pinhead's face being tortured at the end. But they were defeated nonetheless. That being said, at least they were still corny fun. And I have to say, I'm really starting to enjoy Doug Bradley's performances as Pinhead.
Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell.
But let's talk about the new baddie, Dr. Chenard. He was great, especially when he got all Cenobited up. The design was pretty cool. Again, just like the last movie, everything looks nice. But specifically Chenard. He was hammy, corny, cheesy. He was just plain fun. The only thing I wish was that he had a better fight with Pinhead. As for the soundtrack, although it was still good and Christopher Young did a good job, as he did with the original movie, I found it was less striking. But that could just be because there was no scene in this film that really connected it with the soundtrack, like there was in the first film. At least this movie was less anticlimactic though. So that's definitely better. And we got to see a little bit more of hell, or rather this labyrinth which contains each person's individual hell. And it's nice that they did that. Shows care and consideration put into the personalised suffering of the condemned. Well, that's about it I think, really. A fun sequel that had some great opportunities and fell short on delivering them. But all in all, I would consider it a worthy sequel. If only because it's as batshit insane as the first film was. You have been watching Good or Bad, and I'll see you next time. By murdering people for her. I forgot a bit of the line. Chenard uses her to open the doors to hell by giving her the solve the pot. But what the fuck was that? And that something is Julia works for the Leviathan, which is a big demon thing whom he hands she hands fuck's sake. But I have faith in Pinhead. Probably misplaced faith, but I believe he has something else in his sleeve, up his sleeve.